Anyway, John, to
Yes.
our next topic. I'm sure we'll hear more about Indiana Jones 5 as the months roll merrily forward, but it's all about Black
One
Widow.
can hope.
And Marvel has no plans to release Black Widow on Disney Plus. This is coming in from Screen Rant,
Damn you,
John, and
Marvel.
I'm just going to read a couple of paragraphs of this just to
Yes.
sort of build the picture where we're at with the film and where we were at last year with the film as well. It's absolutely crazy. But rumours of Black Widow switching tracks and becoming a Disney Plus release have swirled ever since the Marvel's film's first delay in March of last year. Several studios have adopted streaming strategies amid the pandemic, and whether it's individual examples such as Disney's Mulan and Soul, or more sweeping measures like Warner Bros. Plan to send every 2021 movie to HBO Max and theatres on the same day, Black Widow is currently scheduled for release on May 7th, but many believe yet another delay is likely. This has once again made fans wonder if a Disney Plus release is on the horizon. A new report from THR indicates this isn't likely. While discussing how many major studios are holding their biggest films for when theatres are back to relative normal, it's mentioned insiders with knowledge of the situation say there are no plans to ship Black Widow off to Disney Plus. It says nothing about another release delay, but evidently, even if Black Widow does get bumped, fans shouldn't expect a Disney Plus debut. Which suggests to me if it doesn't make this latest date, John, it's just going to get rescheduled again.
Which is bad, Stephen. I spoke about this briefly the other day. Why, if this movie has to be pushed one more time, it's one more time too much. People are not really, I can only speak for myself, I'm not going to speak for people in general, but I don't really care about this character now. This character's dead. It's not going anywhere in the future. The one element of this movie that does intrigue me is the Florence Pugh, Yelena character, because it does have somewhere to go in the future, and she's already been speaking about coming into the greater MCU, so that's one element which perhaps may have to be seen on a big screen. But
yeah,
all in all, I think if this movie gets delayed one more time, they should just bite the bullet, get it out in the streaming service, premium rental, premium VOD, whatever the hell you want to call it. What they're doing with the Rare, is it? The one I spoke about last night in The Last Dragon, and what they're doing with Mulan. $29 price point. Get people watching it, get the money in, and be done with it, and move on to Shang-Chi, Eternals, Spider-Man 3,
John,
Falcon and the Winter Soldier, all these great projects that are evolving and moving the MCU forward. This character's dead.
John, I would agree with that if they'd done it in the first place.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right. The interest in the character will diminish as the months roll forward. Unfortunately, I feel that with Black Widow's sacrifice in Endgame, we didn't know what was going to happen with the pandemic. We didn't know how the world was going to be. But I can bet, and you can bet your bottom dollar as well, that Marvel Studios, in their minds, was Black Widow is going to be the first release after Phase 4 because, the character is on a high. Everyone's talking about Black Widow, Scarlett Johansson's performance in Endgame, the sacrifice. This is the perfect time to do this prequel film. That was fine then, but now it's kind of just the interest is diminishing. I'm not saying that people aren't going to watch this film. I'm looking forward to seeing this film, John, but am I excited as I was when it was first scheduled last May or March or whatever it was, 2020? Mm-hmm. Certainly not. It's getting to the point now I'm past caring. I will watch the film. Yeah, I will watch the film when it comes out, John, and I know I'll enjoy it because I like the character. I like Scarlett Johansson. As an actor.
Looks cool as a villain.
The cast looks fantastic, John.
Coming in as the Red Guardian or whatever he is. So
I think you're right. The momentum is lost on the character, sadly.
It is. Stephen, the character died. It was a tragic death, and obviously they wanted to throw Scarlett Johansson a bone because she's a big actor, and they felt guilty in some level of not giving her their own standalone movie at some point. And look, it would have been progressive if they had got in ahead of Patty Jenkins' DC and the Wonder Woman thing, but they didn't. The character's dead, and it felt tacked on. It felt like, as I keep saying, throwing her a bone after they killed her off, give you a movie, see you off into the sunset. There's no place for this character now in the future of the MCU unless they can find a way to bring her back, and I wouldn't want to see that. So ultimately, I only really care about movies that are progressing the story in the MCU moving forward. This ain't. I keep saying with the caveat that the Yelena whatever her name is, character played by Florence Pugh, that could have ramifications for the future. So that aside, I'd rather just see it on the streaming service, but they're not going to do it. They're going to wait.
No.
And look, you've got to commend them. They're sticking to their strategy. Universal have theirs. They have their deal with AMC. HBO have their deal with, Warner Brothers. They're the same company. I'm talking absolute nonsense. So Disney have their strategy. So fair enough. We'll see who is the victor when this is all over, because things ain't getting better in the next 6 months or so. That's clear. We've got crazy shit going on over in Brazil. We're still shut down here. Vaccines are rolling out. It's not really making much of a difference. We ain't getting in a theatre for the next 3 months at the very least.
No.
Dare I say it, 4, 5, maybe 6 months. So they're just going to be delaying it and delaying it and delaying it. And if this starts bumping into the likes of Shang-Chi and Eternals, I know what preference I'd have. I'd have preference for those ones as opposed to this getting a theatre release. Just get this out of the way, get it onto the streaming service. But time will tell, man. Time will tell.
Time will tell, John. It would have been. I still feel, and I know it's in hindsight now, and it's very easy for me to say this now that, you know, after everything's happened, but, you know, to close off Phase 4 after Endgame, I would have stopped at Endgame, but they wanted that one last film and they got Spider-Man Far From Home. I'd have had Black Widow in there instead of Spider-Man, to be honest with you, and that would have been nicely rounding it off. Yeah. But they didn't want to do that. They wanted to, you know, have a more upbeat film, you know, something a bit more lighter than what we got in Endgame, and everything that happened in that. And
they've traditionally done that, Stephen, with Ant-Man.
Yeah, well, exactly, Ant-Man, exactly, John. You know, and it's just one of those things. We'll just have to wait and see what they're going to do. I still hope that we'll see it in the cinema, but my anticipation for it has diminished slightly. But John, we'll move on.